Hello and welcome to this course about transport. The main goal of this course is understanding which is the impact that transport has on the planet, on our environment, and also try to see which are the best ways that we have to mitigate and to reduce this impact. Well, the impact that an activity has on a planet is basically related with the energy consumption that this activity requires. We obtain most of our energy from burning fossil fuels, and obviously the higher the energy demand of one activity, the higher the impact that this activity will have on our planet and on our climate. And understanding this relation is the first step towards finding a solution to this situation. Well, in this first chapter, we will see that transport is one of the most energy intensive activities. And obviously this makes this activity one of the most harmful in terms of affecting the environment. Well, let's first see this first picture showing us the global energy that we consume divided by sectors. And here we can see that 29% of the energy that we consume is devoted to transport. So we dedicate 29% of our energy to moving people and things. Well, this is not the only problem, the amount of energy that we require, but we have a second one, that is the trend. The energy requirement due to transport is increasing year by year. And this is because two things. On one side, the population of the world is increasing, but on the other side also the life conditions of the people that are living in the world are also improving. So this combination makes us, the energy that we use in transport makes this increasing year by year. Well, if we analyze the situation in different regions, we will see that we have different scenarios. On one side, we have the countries like USA and Europe, where we can see that the amount of energy is so high. So in fact, in these regions, transport is the most energy demanding activity. Is on the order of about 10 to 30 millions of terajoules used in transport in these regions. On the other side, we have the regions in Asia, like for example China, the southeast of Asia, where the amount of energy is a little bit lower, but in this case the trend is increasing year by year. And this is because in these regions the population is increasing at a higher rate compared to these regions where the population is more or less stable. And obviously also that the life conditions in these regions is improving at a fast rate. And this makes that in this region the problem is not only the amount of energy, but the rate. On other regions, like for example Africa, the rate that the trend is increasing, but in this case the situation is not so problematic because the amount of energy that is used in transport in this case is so low. You can see that it's an order of magnitude lower compared to these other regions. Well, if we analyze the emissions, obviously it will be similar that in the case of energy. 24% of the total emissions in the world of CO2, of the carbon dioxide emissions, is due to transport. And if we analyze the trend, we observe that is increasing year by year. In this case, in this plot, we can see another thing, that we have divided the amount of emissions in different transportation modes. And it can be seen that the most problematic transportation mode is the road. So the cars, the trucks are the most energy demanding and obviously the most contaminating transportation modes. Obviously, there are also other transportation modes like aviation and shipping, and that also has a high emission rate, but compared to road are not on the same level. The road, the emissions due to road transportation are an order of magnitude higher than in the other transportation modes. Well, if we analyze the emissions by different regions, we see that the same trends that as we observe in the energy consumption. Regions like America, North America, and in Europe, where the emissions are so high but more or less stable, and other regions like in Asia, in China, in southeast of Asia, where not the amount but the trend is the most problematic thing. Obviously, we have to make changes in our transport, but without affecting the improvement of the life condition of this society, of these regions, because obviously the simplest way to mitigate the impact is not using the transport. That this will have a very high impact on the living conditions of the people. And obviously, although we have regions where the trend is increasing because the life conditions and the population is increasing, but we have to take on consideration that the reduction of the impact should not have an impact on the life condition of the people. I want to finish with one slide that shows us that as a society we have ways to mitigate this impact. And we can observe it in the last years because obviously due to the COVID-19 lockdown situation, most of the people has stayed at home without moving, and obviously this has had an impact on the emissions at the global scale. And we have observed this in this plot. It can be observed. So this tells us that obviously we have ways to reduce the impact of transport, and we have to do it. For example, help we have learned in the last years where a lot of people has worked at home, reducing the level of transportation that is required by the people, and obviously the economy has been maintained. Well, in conclusion, we have seen that transport is one of the most energy-intensive activity in our world, and not only this, but the trend is that the energy requirement for this activity is increasing year by year, and this shows us that we have to make some changes in our society in order to reduce this impact, the impact due to the transport, without affecting the life conditions of the world.